They move back.
No, we are not gonna see ourselves.
We're gonna get the Zoom call started in around 2 minutes. We're just waiting for a few more people to come in.
Sounds good.
I don't sound like Sean. You're there. Oh, you got me? Oh, yeah.
No, we can't see you, David. Yeah, now we can. That's good.
Okay, no, I'm here.
Hey, Sam.
Hey, how are you?
Here.
Yeah.
In Israel.
Oh, you're in Israel?
Yeah, I went to the funeral.
Oh my God.
Yep. The only friend that was able to go.
You're able to get there. You were here at the time. I landed that evening, a few hours later.
Yeah, you went straight there.
Yeah.
Is Jen's family on? Are they able to join?
Yeah, they're on.
They're just getting set up, I think.
Okay.
I don't know if you can see them in the top left corner.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, look at that picture of Jen they have.
She just cut her hair and just got those glasses like last month.
Hi, guys. I want to...
Donnie, I think your mic is off.
Mic check?
Yes, good.
Okay. Hi, I want to thank you all for joining us and supporting us during this time. I recognize a lot of you, and it's great to see you guys here. I'm going to do some introductions for those of you who don't know all of us. I am Dan, Jen's brother. This is my mother, my father, and David, who is her other brother. And we have our aunt who just flew in here, who's sitting next to me just out of camera shot. But she was able to come in from New York just a couple hours ago. I think the way we want to handle this is we want to be able to hear a lot of stories from you guys and hear the experiences and all the moments that you guys experienced with Jen. I think that would be great for us to hear. I'll just share a couple things quickly. I'm not the best public speaker, but I'll do my best here. I got the opportunity to live with Jen for almost a year, a lot of it during COVID, and it was absolutely the best experience of my life. We did everything together from the moment we got back from work, even just sitting down watching Netflix with the glass of wine, Jen's favorite thing to do. Unbelievable experiences I will never forget. One funny story that some of you might not know that might want to hear is our experience skydiving. Jen, Jess, and I took a trip to Key Largo, Florida. They were going to get certified to scuba dive, but we got down there and the conditions got blown out and they weren't able to do their dives. And it was my birthday, so tried planning something to do, and skydiving came up. And we knew that Jen was always on the fence about skydiving, back and forth for years. She would go months with wanting to do it and months without wanting to do it. So we devised a plan to trick her into going skydiving. So basically, we sat for like an hour and made a plan. And the skydiving was in Key West. It was a 2-hour drive away. And we told her that we're going to be going on an airboat tour to go see some alligators. So we hop in a car and we take a 2-hour drive down to Key West, Florida. And she fell asleep in the back of the car. And we ended up getting there like 20 minutes early or something. So I just kept driving back and forth so she didn't wake up. And then we pull into this skydive parking lot, and there's like a massive 50 by 50 sign that says Skydive Key West and 2 planes just sitting there. And I parked in like the spot that was the least conspicuous, even though it was still pretty obvious. And I jumped out of the car and grabbed the instructor as he was walking up. And I was like, don't tell her we're going skydiving. Tell her we're going on an airboat tour. So he's like, all right, I got you. So he comes up to the car and sees Jen. He's like, you ready to see some alligators? So we start going inside, and I rush her into the bathroom and I start filling out her paperwork. There's like a TV there, a giant TV with people skydiving. And she comes out and I just have her initial the paperwork very quickly without her reading it. And like 10 minutes into it, she's like looking around and starts seeing like people getting into parachutes and all these skydiving videos. And she's like, oh, I guess they do skydiving here too. So it wasn't until like 5 minutes before we got onto the plane that I told her we're going skydiving. And she ended up doing it and loving it. And that's just the type of person she was. She loved the thrill, like me in that sense. And yeah, it was just a memorable experience for me that I'll never forget. I'll pass the microphone down to the rest of my family to say a few words.
Thank you, all of you. Some have sent us texts, visits, amazing writings about how Jennifer spoke about me to her friends. We were best friends, and she called me her best friend. We spoke daily on video chat for an hour or two, sometimes one time a day, sometimes more, depending on the situation. Of course, when she was working, I didn't bother her. And I would text her if I needed something, and she would reply, I'm in a meeting or whatever. She was highly responsible with her job, and she adored her life and everything she chose to do. She lived up to her goals and nobody else's. She lived it up. It seems to be like the tricky situation of experiencing scary stuff spilled on an experience with David and Jen. telling me that they wanted to go for a shooting experience here with the Israeli army. They had some training, and they asked me if I wanted to come with them, and I said I would be an observer. Like I was not interested in shooting. So they say, sure, you come as an observer. And I go there and they give the initial training and they take us out to the field. And suddenly I get a machine gun on my hands. I said, no, I'm an observer. I didn't sign up for this. He says, well, they sign up for you. So I really enjoyed the experience. We laughed and we always laughed together on everything we chose to do. So I really, that was a memorable time and I will never forget. Beautiful. So I want to tell you that we are still in shock, even though we saw her and we experienced the funeral. It's really hard to believe that she's gone and she's not here with us and that we won't see her anymore. That's very hard for all of us. But in the other side, I have to tell you that we have a lot of comfort in knowing that she didn't suffer. We are really assuming that she died instantaneously because she didn't even have a chance to text to say, I'm feeling sick, I need an ambulance or anything like that. So it was a blessing that she was not sick, that we didn't have to worry about her health. At the beginning, when she started working in this field, I did feel a lot of fears for her safety, but then she stepped up and trained in Krav Maga and made me feel safe about wherever she would be in the world. And I really didn't worry about her safety. I never imagined that, with her fitness and the way she took care of herself so religiously, that she would be taken away at such early age. So I want to hear your stories, and I'm going to pass on the mic. We will focus on the positive memories and the laughter and the good outings we had together, and we'll just see the positive in every negative situation.
Okay, my name is, in America, I go by Mark. I'm Jennifer's father, and I just want to tell you about the way it was when Jennifer was a very little girl. So in those years, when she was 2, 3, 4, 5 years old, maybe up to 6, 7 years old, she was my little princess. And when I was home not working, in the evening, so she was in my arms. And I treated her like she was the most wonderful little princess the world has ever seen. And we enjoyed our time together in those years in a very, very special way. We talked together. We enjoyed little tiny things. She sat in my lap and we played. We played whether it was on the floor or when she went to bed at night. and when she woke up in the morning and on weekends. And it was like a very special kind of a relationship that a little girl should have from her father, so that she gets the feeling that this is my world. My world is a place where people can really love me in this lovely, lovely way of me being a girl, and they just like showering me with love. And so it was that way for her. And we went out places. I remember various times when we took rides together, and she just showed me that she just had a love for life in those early days. She had a love for life, and she was inquisitive, and she wanted to know the things that were around her. And one time we went out to a library, and we looked at books together, and then we got back into the car, and we looked across the street from where we had parked, and there were homes where the chimneys had snakes imprinted on them. And we wondered what that meant, that there were snakes there, and that she should understand that, that buildings look the way they do, and people behave the way they do, and everything is safe for her. The idea was to give her a sense of safety and love and acceptance. And she didn't always have easy times, as we know. When she was 4, she had a very, very big accident having to do with a concussion, and that really took away for a number of years her abilities until she compensated for it. But in spite of that, she was still this little girl that just wanted to be loved and looked for love and just got it. And that's what I want to tell you. That's probably the basis of how she was able to grow up to do the things with the confidence that she did. Okay, I'm going to pass the mic over to our son. Here's David.
Hi guys, David here. Jen and I grew up, we were a year apart, and we were extremely, extremely close. I took it on myself as my personal responsibility to look after her and fend off, anyone that I didn't think was going to be a good role model or potentially take advantage of her. And I really looked out for her, and she also looked out for me. Just to say, some funny stories. Any girl that I would date, she would interrogate, and they would come back running to me and say, "I never want to meet your sister again." And she would ask them, "Why do you think you're good for my brother?" And she would really get to the bottom of who they are, and we were extremely, extremely close throughout the years, and I enjoyed every second I spent with her. And more recently, she came out here, and we were planning on having a vacation together and going traveling the country and spending quality time. And I thought I had all the time in the world. And I was trying to entice her to move down here. We just built her an apartment over here, and I spent the past couple of months decking it out to all the specs, putting in a new kitchen.
Sorry, guys. I think that their audio and video are frozen. I'm just texting Dan.
Family and next to my kids. And
recording stop. Recording in progress.
and we were really looking forward to having her here a longer part of the year, and really being able to enjoy spending time with her. And it's crazy. It's crazy that she was taken so subtly, and we'll never have that opportunity. I don't know what else to say. It's hard to even to process. But I do want to hear from all you guys. I'm sure she impacted each and every one of you individually, and it's really great to hear everything you guys have to say. And everything we've been hearing. So. Okay, I think what we'll do is, if you guys have a story you'd like to share with us, if you could put on a reaction, either a wave or a thumbs up or something, and we will cut over to you.
Okay, I don't know how to do a reaction, but maybe I'll go when there's a minute. It's Jess.
No idea.
What was the issue, Jess? Sorry.
I just don't know how to do a reaction, so I'm just telling you.
Okay.
that I'll speak.
Yeah, you could. Floor is yours, Jess.
Hi guys, this is Jessica. I wasn't honestly gonna speak right now, and I don't really know where to start. Jen was okay. I'm gonna keep it together. Jen was the love of my life, and I feel so blessed to have, number one, had all the memories that I've had with her and all the time, and also the opportunity to get to know her family so closely, and to have shared in her friendship with all of you guys. And even recently, just having many of you reach out to share her stories has been really comforting, if comfort's even a plausible feeling right now. But I don't really know where to start in terms of stories. I kind of had a checklist, but now I'm rambling. But she was just such an incredible woman, one of the fiercest, most vibrant, most ambitious, funniest, most beautiful souls that could have ever walked the earth. And I think for me, it's a little bit hard to comprehend that she's not here. It's still very, very surreal, and we used to text every hour on the hour like lunatics and wonder how two people could talk to each other for so long and not run out of things to say, even at the height of the pandemic. And I think each of us all know a different side of Jen. And what's so beautiful is, from all the stories that I've been hearing, it's still the same one comprehensive, most authentic version of herself. And that's how she lived her life. She was so fearless. She never backed down from a challenge. She was the fiercest warrior, the most loyal friend, the goofiest, silliest, sweetest girl as well. Like such a versatile character, and truly just one of a kind. And I can't imagine life without her, honestly. And I think what's happened, this past week is such a beautiful testament to who she was as a person, and how much she's inspired everybody that ever knew her, whether it was for 20 years, whether it was for just a passing moment, whether you were her family member, her brother, sister, mother, father, niece and nephew, or a colleague, or just a stranger. She captivated everybody. I've never met anybody like her in my entire life. Truly, when you say somebody's one of a kind, and that's an understatement of the century. I think the majority of people, they live their entire lives hoping to meet a soulmate, or meet somebody that that resonates with them on such a strong level that it's, you don't know where they begin and you end. Like that kind of connection, it's so rare. And I think the biggest takeaway that I have, as we commemorate her memory, is feeling blessed and grateful to have been touched by her, to have had her in our lives, that we're the lucky ones. And I guess that's all I have to say for now.
Thanks so much, Jess.
Mm-hmm.
I think
Felicia?
I guess if I may, I'll jump in. I met Jen when she was at Muncie Academy. Many people don't know what that even means, but I'm sure her family does. I think she was 16 or 17 at the time when, when all of our parents are nervous for us that we're going to get in all kinds of trouble. And we connected then. I remember back then, Jen's idol was her brother David. I mean, she talked about David like he was a godsend. She wanted to be just like him. And this is a memory from, 15 years ago. When I remember, Donnie, when we met, you were, a few years younger and wasn't necessarily part of the crew yet. And then ultimately over the years, just the snowboarding together and the trips. And Mom, you were always just mommy. Like she talked about you like she would just smile when she said your name. It wasn't mom, it was mommy. Jen was tough on the outside to many, but anybody that knows her personally knows that she's just all love. And I know Jen for many years, probably more years than many people that are here today. And we were very close as friends. I could not see her for 2 or 3 years and we would connect like we've been friends every day. My sister Shiva became super friendly and close with her and traveled with her over the last few years. Just every time I logged into Facebook, I'd see another trip that they took together, and just I couldn't even share a story with you because it's unlimited. I mean, every photo I see is a story, whether it's Vegas or snowboarding or Binghamton or like there's our core crew, a few of them here that we've shared already so many stories from the past, things that we've forgotten. But the moment we heard that we lost Jen, it all came crashing back, and it doesn't make sense because Jen is life. Jen is energy. Jen is a badass that nobody messes with. And when I heard what happened, my world stopped. It hit me so hard, as I'm sure it did to a lot of you as well, because Jen was a big part of our lives, my life. We've all become who we are today, but if you look back at high school and college and 20s when we're figuring things out, Jen was there. Like Jen was a part of who I am and who a lot of we are today. And that was taken from us. And I do know that she always spoke so highly of her family. She loved her family so much. And I don't have that much more to say, but my heart's broken, and it goes out to Jen's family. I know she loved each and every one of you very deeply.
Someone just unmutes themselves. Felicia, you can go ahead.
Hang on one. Can you guys hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay, awesome. So firstly, I just want to send my love out to the family. I know I haven't seen you guys in many, many years. Nice to see you. But I am so heartbroken over this. For those of you that don't know me, I met Jen in high school for the first 2 months I lasted in Central. And we were very close in high school. We were best friends. And I'm going to try and hold this together. I'm sorry. I have so many memories with her. And one of my favorite memories is when it snowed in the winter. We were crazy. We would just go out with no jacket. We would go to a playground and get on the swings and jump off of the swings into like mountains of snow, and so we couldn't feel any of our extremities, and then come back and have like a mountain of candy to get it all back. She was such an amazing person, and although I had to leave for my own personal growth and I wasn't there for the 20s and the 30s, I missed her every day. And there's few things I regret in my life. One of them is parting from her. I kind of always thought we'd, get together again. So I'm going to end before I start crying in front of y'all. But I'm so, so, so sorry. And I will never, ever, ever forget her. Thank you.
Aisha.
Maybe I'll jump in if that's all right.
Right.
So, for those of you who don't know me, my name's Tzvi Gordon. That Sim was talking about the group of friends, that go back. I go back. Jen, Sim, and I go back 20 years. Actually, Felicia, when you just started speaking, I remember the first time I met Jen was with you. We went to some billiards hall in Queens, and we were trying to make sure we didn't run into. We were hanging out with a handful of people, and my biggest concern was making sure I didn't run into David. Didn't want to get beaten up for hanging out with his sister, because I had younger sisters myself, and how protective a big brother could be. And when I met Jen right away, she made sure to warn me that her brother was a potential liability in her life. She loved him a lot, but it was very clear up front that I needed to be careful, or as she would say, watch your back. She was fair. Yeah, she was always very blunt. And Jen and I think we all connected, like many of us on this line. And I see so many people here. The first time we met, we became friends. I think within 5 minutes, she tried to put me in a headlock. She found out that I was a black belt in martial arts, and I'd been training for 12 years at the time, 10 years at the time, or whatever it was. So she within 3 minutes, finding that out, she was like insisted on taking me down and trying to do a judo move. And I'm like, Jen, take it easy. We're like, in public. I don't want to get a bloody nose in a pool hall with someone I'm just meeting. But anyway, we became friends right away, and I think we're all kindred spirits going through some of the same challenges of finding yourself as a teenager and in a world where I think Jen was incredibly precocious, incredibly bright, and we all figured out at a young age that the adults in the school and authority figures in our lives are really just people figuring out like the rest of us. And I think one of the challenges of being so a little bit ahead of your time and realizing that adults are just big children. Something that now I think we've now we have our own children and we realize about ourselves we're all just winging it. We figured out pretty early, and particularly Jen. And I think she had a hard time living in the constructs of authority, because why should anyone else tell her what to do? She knew who she wanted to be. She knew how she wanted to live her own life, or at least at any given point in time felt like it was her freedom to make those decisions. So when she, I think when I was on my third high school and Sim was in his second high school, and some of the other people on this line probably were making their rounds. Jen ended up in Muncie at Muncie Academy, and we all sort of hit it off and spent a lot of time together and formed like a small group of friends. And I would say almost she was like a sister to Sim and I. We have so many. I mean, I don't know where to begin, but we had a ton of memories together, funny ones, just amazing experiences. But I know what was fascinating is all of us managed to reinvent ourselves many times. And Jen was such a dynamic person. Within 5 minutes, she developed an interest. She'd become an expert in a subject matter. And next thing she would, within a week, she was convinced she knew better than the experts. And she would lecture them. And she was good enough at faking it, fake it till you make it. And very quickly, they probably were taking notes. But she ended up, I think, a couple of years later when she decided to go to Binghamton. And I think I was with Sim and her. Sim, we all reconnected, and I was studying in Binghamton at the time, and she told us that she was transferring there, and she said, "I don't want to have anything to do with anyone in my past. But Tzvi, you're all right, and Sim, you're okay, but everyone else is out." And that was it. She decided she was making a cut, and she was going to pivot from being, the wild teenager to like, sort of the hyper focused student, where she wanted to come to Binghamton and graduate top of her class and go on to do something interesting, either in criminal law or enforcement or something interesting on the edge, because that's just the way Jen liked to live. She was always looking for something interesting. She wanted to live larger than life because she was in so many ways larger than life. And we got in Binghamton together, and I see Kristen and Dimitri. I see a handful of other people on the line here that were there with us, and I know a number of people reached out, and we all quickly became friends. She lived. We slummed it downtown in a house. She lived in a nice, sort of 5-star building. She always liked, she was always classy. She always wanted to be in, the nice hotel, 5-star hotel. She made sure to find the newest building in Binghamton to rent an apartment in. Every once in a while, she would come visit us, and by every once in a while, I mean 5 times a week at our house. And Kristen and Sim would come up regularly, and all of us had a crew. She was a super intense, sort of work hard, play hard type of person. So when we were in university, I was a little worried when I realized that she wanted to study the same thing as I did, because she ended up in my classes, and she was like, it wasn't like she wanted to get an A in the class. She felt like she had to do better than me, and I was very competitive too. So I very quickly learned to just stop sharing my grades. There was very, it was interesting. How did you do? I said, I did well. I did okay. I was going to try to avoid getting into it with her, because it was darned if you do and darned if you don't. If I did better than her, she'd want to beat me up, and if I didn't do as well as her, she'd want to beat me up. So you just very quickly learn to keep your grades to yourself. And we were incredibly close. We shared everything. But the one thing I never shared with her was anything about my grades. But we would study together. We would sort of intellectually joust. I think Dimitri can attest to the many all-nighters, and I see Devin on the phone too. The many all-nighters. I mean, if we somehow got onto a subject, it could be any of us on something, and often it was something that she didn't even feel particular conviction about. She would just choose to take a particular position for the interest of debating. And you can debate for hours, and after like an hour, you'd be like, "Wait, how do we get into the subject, and how do I get out of it?" Because you realize there was no way you were going to win the debate. But she was a spirited debater. I always told her, you need to go become a litigator. Go become a litigator, go do criminal defense, do something where you can take it out in the courtroom. But obviously, she wanted something more exciting than that, and I think she ended up, having a phenomenal career and as a private investigator, as everyone knows. Where she lived a life that was larger than that sort of feels more like an HBO show, than something that most of us can sort of than what a normal person's career looks like, or what any 9-to-5 type of career would look like. Certainly, Jen was not interested in a 9-to-5 job. I think one of the memories I remember that really stood out to me. Early on, I have 2 or 3 short memories I want to share that I thought captured, and I apologize because one of these I mentioned to you, David and Danny, but I don't think I mentioned to your mom or your mother or father, and I thought they would appreciate hearing this one. And then one of them is a new one, and I think I mentioned this to Jess too. So the first funny memory was, a couple of years afterwards, we graduated university. Give you context, and I ended up going to Israel to serve in the army. Jen started working in the U.S., and Jen was incredibly supportive. I think I told her, my recollection serves me, before I told anybody else that I was going to go serve, because I knew, I knew that I was going to get a lot of flack for going. And, my family was particularly going to be concerned about me going to put myself in harm's way. While they were supportive in theory, I don't think any parent wants their son see their child in harm's way, and going to be a combat soldier, I think, kind of made them anxious. I think, a handful of other people, so at that time, I didn't expect to get a whole lot of support, because I think it was a bold decision, but I confided in Jen, and she was really supportive. And I would say Jen, who everyone here knows her, was tough as nails. I mean, Jen, aside from being a powerhouse of a personality and just having tenacity, stubbornness, such zest and fight for life and for anything that she thought was right, she also was just, sort of a tough person emotionally, had a lot of emotional grit. And the only time I ever saw her cry here, and I don't know if I mentioned this to Jess when we spoke earlier, was when I told her I was going to the Army. She insisted on coming with me to the airport. No, my mom was taking me. My girlfriend at the time, Etal, maybe on the line, was taking me. And my two sisters were taking me as well. And I told Jen, I'm like, look, don't it's way out of your way. It's a work day. Like, no, there's no reason. Don't worry about it. I really appreciate it. And Jen was like, no. I'm definitely coming. You're my boy. I'm coming. I'm like, Jen, need back and forth. Within 2 minutes, I realized, it wasn't worth fighting. Just capitulate. Just of course. So Jen, it was one of those things I realized it was, when she made up her mind, get out of the way. So I just got out of the way. She ended up coming. And when we were saying goodbye, like my mom, who's a therapist and very emotionally in tune, unlike me, started crying. My sister started crying. My girlfriend at the time started crying. And I looked at Jen and I'm like, oh, thank goodness I have Jen here because she's the only one that's going to hold it together. And then Jen started shedding. I saw Jen shed a few tears. I'm like, I remember, and I was thinking to myself, I was like, Jen, you're never going to hear the end of this because you were supposed to be my rock. But I think actually it was a sign of how, sort of as Sim said, it captured who she was as a person. She was tough on the outside, like a Sabra, but inside she was all heart, and she loved the people she cared about. She just had immense love for, and I think she had tremendous respect for what I was going to do, and knew, when I went, my sort of commitment and the principles that led me there. And I think she connected with them and understood that sense of commitment. And it told me everything. It told me how much she cared. And it just says a lot about her personality, that she showed up. She was the type of person that showed up for the people she cared about whenever they needed them most. That was a very pivotal decision in my life. And one of those moments where she knew, being there, when it counted, was important, how she saw friendship. The other funny story is, a few years later when I got out of the Army, and I think I mentioned this to you, Luna, I think when we got Kristen, Sim, a friend of ours, Hillel, who else? And who else? I think that was it. And I all flew to go do a ski trip in France, in the French Alps. And we flew into Geneva, drove to Courchevel and Val Thorens, whatever they call the Trois Vallées, the Three Valleys, to go skiing. She had decided, recently she wanted to become a snowboarder. And as I think I mentioned to Luna, the first time she got on a snowboard, she decided she was Shaun White. Her and Kristen were getting black and blue marks bouncing down the mountain, but she was convinced she was going to be in a half pipe within a week, or within a day. She realized after a bit it would take her about a week. But in any case, we showed up there. We crossed the border from France. We all flew into Switzerland together, into Geneva. Took a drive, stopped in a city called Lake Nice, and we walked into a restaurant there on the way, about 2 hours from the mountain. To order food. It's French cuisine. We ordered whatever she had, like a salad. They obviously asked if we want any wine because it's France and they drink during the daytime. Jen was very, very excited about that. So she said, "Yeah, can I please have a glass of Pinot Grigio?" And she said it, and we all started laughing. And the waiter gave like an odd look, and she said it again with a level of defiance. So they went and got it to her. She was all excited, and I'm like, I said to her, I'm like, Jen, oh my goodness, you're such an American. And she said it with pride. Like she was almost like it was more like a thing of to the French culture. The French expect us to bend to their culture. I'm going to pronounce it like an American with pride. It wasn't because she didn't know how to pronounce Pinot Grigio. I just think it was a matter of sort of asserting her dominance, maybe. Or for whatever reason, but it was very funny. We ended up on the trip. She got lost on one of the mountains. We'll skip that story, but she had somebody have some French guy save her, find her. She decided to go off piste and skiing off some uncharted territory, and he got lost and went for a venture. It's always interesting, and I think I want to hand over to other people to share experiences, but I think just to wrap up. As Sim said, we're all having cognitive dissonance because Jen represented life. Jen is such a vibrant person. If you were lucky enough to have her as a friend and have her in your quarter, she loved fiercely. She was incredibly protective of people she cared about. She had a sense of right and wrong that guided her, and that sense of right and wrong was really hers and her own. I mean, it was, she didn't conform to societal norms. She chose to view the world from her own perspective, and she was uniquely her. It didn't matter. I don't think there was an inauthentic bone in her body, and I think we're all still reeling from shock. But we just wanted to send our love and our immense love. And I wish she knew how many people she touched and how much she touched all of us.
Thanks so much, Zvi. I think that that trip to the French Alps was the moment she started to realize that she actually didn't like snowboarding. So that was it's a big moment. All right, let's can we zoom out the screen? If anyone else wants to say a few words.
It's Kristen. Can you guys hear
Kristen.
me? Hi, how are you? Yeah, it's Kristen Lau, and I guess for those of you that don't know me either, Zvi is very eloquent, and he's probably the best at sharing stories, better than I think I can at this point. And he covered a lot of things that just brought back memories of Jen. The Binghamton crew, I see Sim on. I know Nurov was on before. He kind of was on a little later. And Devin's on too, and I think Dimitri. So I know that we kind of all go way back in some of the memories that we share with Jen. And even just mention what you said, like the 5-star building that we lived in. I think Jen and I were actually on our own in that nice area in Binghamton where we had a pool hall and everybody would just enjoy playing. And she was always a tough girl that knew that she could beat everybody and kick their asses because she actually could. She walked the walk and talked the talk. It was never fake when it came to that stuff. And even what David said, I think she kind of is like the older sister that I never had. Honestly, even to my wedding day, she managed to come to my bridal shower. So that was, I think it was 2018 that I saw her. She still was kind of like, are you sure? Is this right? Like if you need me to step in, I can kick his ass and beat him up and, you can be on your way. You definitely don't have to marry somebody that you're not sure about. So I always felt like she was literally the older brother, or for me, the older sister that I never had, always watching over and trying to say, just let me know. If I need to make the phone call, I will, and be that person. So I know how you feel, David. But that's just the things of having somebody who lived life to the fullest and really is that person that you can lean on. Another moment that I always remember, these are just more like larger moments, not specifics, but anytime I had to talk to her or if I had something that I wanted to work out on the phone, Jen would always kind of say, okay, so which way do you want me to convince you? Do you want me to tell you to go this way or to go this way? Because either way, she was able to make me feel good. And she already knew that I, in my mind, decided what I needed to do, but I just needed somebody on the other end to kind of listen and, confirm that whether I was crazy or not crazy, that this was the right decision to make. So she would always kind of start that call off saying, hey, which way do you want to go? Because that's how I'm going to swing it and make it feel like it's 100% the way that you should go, whether it's, dating somebody or changing relationships or, going for a new job, going somewhere that, I wasn't positive on, but I kind of knew what I wanted to do, but I just needed that confirming voice from somebody else who was, like a sister. And Jen was that person that I was able to always, lean on and talk to, just feel like, she was there for me, even though we would be miles and miles apart, even years apart. She's one of those people that, you can always call up and it just felt like yesterday that we saw each other. So she just has that beautiful personality, spirit, just hunger for knowledge, for activity, just being that special person. I think that's who she is and who she always will be. I don't think I have any particular stories, but I know she was always the person that would be kind of, don't ask for permission, ask for forgiveness. And that's really how I define her wholly. I try to live that, but I feel like I don't always live that line as well as Jen did. That's just kind of sums up really the beautiful spirit and person that she is. And when Zvi kind of told me the news like last week, I was still just in shock, just not believing, that this is true. So, and as everyone else here on the phone, I think, we're all kind of sitting here like just in a void. And Jen would definitely want us to celebrate her life and the many places in the world that she's been, everything that she's been able to see at, such a great age. And I think that's something that we maybe should all learn from her, see the world and don't live life to the fullest, carpe diem, and make sure that we keep in touch, friends, family. It's something that I know Jen would want us to do, going forward. And I'm just so happy to be able to see everybody here on the screen, from the Binghamton days to her family. And my heart goes out to you all. David, Donnie, I knew you guys too, and Luna. Jen always talked about you as a best friend, and I know that's how she saw it. You guys were mama bear, so tight. You can see it's a beautiful relationship that you have with your daughter. So my thoughts and prayers go out to everybody on this call and to the family, and I miss you. And there's Shim too, so nice to see you also. But yeah, so just my love is here, and if there's anything that we can do, and I definitely want to support everybody in any way that's possible. So yeah.
Is there anyone else who wanted to share a few words?
I just want to add one thing to what Kristen said. She didn't ask for forgiveness either.
That's probably true. And that kind of brings back another memory about her in the snowboarding in the Swiss Alps. I think she was the first who said, let's go down the mountain in our bikini tops, which is pretty intense and insane. But we did it in the cold, just took everything off and just went down in our bikini tops. And we managed to not fall and still look great.
There's a lot of non-family friendly stories. We'll keep it at that.
It was just full of life, beautiful. And yes, you're right. She didn't have to ask for forgiveness either. Didn't need to.
So I don't necessarily have a particular story, but I just wanted to share because there are so many stories from, so many trips. From ski trips to Cuba to, obviously our last trip to Greece. I mean, there's too many stories, and to Jess's point, too many stories that we'll keep on our little group chat. But that group chat that we have, that Jen and I have with the girls, we've been so constant on for the last year. I feel like I've talked to Jen literally every single day since, the pandemic almost began, or since our trip from Mexico started getting planned. And it's so nice that I have literally been able to talk to her every single day for the last year. And then, in our past trips, even more so bonding over our ski trips and trips to Cuba. I mean, I'm not very good at speaking, so words are hard. But I was telling, the girls earlier, one of the best memories I have of her, and every trip we ever been on, she always finds a way to go dancing, whether that's in the middle of the dance floor under beaming lights, or is it at a bar or on a bar top like in Austin, or it is just because she wants to. She did not care. Our latest trip to Greece, she just would come into the dance floor on the club on the beach and just take over, and that was her space. That was her energy, and everybody fed off of it. And that is, the definition of life. She really is. She is so much energy. She's so positive. The first time I met her, we connected, and we never stopped, connecting. We always wanted to travel together. And there's so many things that I could tell you, and it's just so blurred with so many trips. But yeah, she was always so full of energy. Of course, she was a complete badass. She didn't take any shit. Sorry about language. but there's so many things I want to say. I just don't have the words. I just, between me and I think everybody who has connected with her, I think we all feel very blessed to have known her, and she's touched me in so many ways. Like, I don't have a lot of friends, but the friends that I have, I hold very special to me, and she was definitely one that impacted my life, and it still doesn't feel real. And I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I wish I could do something to help, so please reach out if I can. But anyway, I can't talk, so that's me.
Okay, Amy.
Guess if no one else, don't mean to interrupt, but I also wanted to share a quick story. I actually met Jen this year, and just randomly. I was going through a rough time with some personal drama with with family and so forth. It was a rough time, so I went away to a camp, and it's called Club Getaway in Connecticut. And I met her through a mutual friend. And from the moment she just started talking, just had this vibrancy, this just hilarity to her. We just bonded, chilled, and talked, and it was just, there are a few people you come across in life where people just have this fire within them that can just light up anybody's life or anybody in general. And she really was, in such a short time, she really became a great friend. She, anytime I had a question or about something, she was always there. Hey, I have a question about this, and we both were in. We always would bond over fitness training. And I do fitness training on the side, and then we would bond over that, comparing notes. Oh, you do Krav Maga too? Yeah. No, I know about this spot on the Upper West Side. You should go there sometime. We were always comparing notes and things like that, and talking about the dancing. It was hilarious because that's what she was. There was a DJ party that night, and she just owned the entire floor at that Club Getaway. So she just owned the floor. And she always just so open, caring, going at one point from an inappropriately hilarious comment to another point, just being a real friend. And everyone has shared a lot of stories, but all I can say is really she really was. I found out about it when I was actually about to train a class, and I'm still in shock. And the only thing that kept popping in my head, I had to stop training the class. The only thing that popped into my head was she really was like a force of nature. When the weather changes or when the storm passes by, you see the rain and you see what the storm leaves in its wake. Jen was like this positive storm of energy that touched so many lives. No matter if you touched your lives, and like for 5 minutes to like a decade. She touched so many lives, and everyone has been affected by her. And I also have not had not too many friends, and the friends I do have, I keep circle very small. And she definitely was one of those friends that it speaks for itself, and actions speak louder than words. And she lived every action by it, and anything I could ever do to help out or be a blessing, let me know. I'm always here, and that I know Jen would just want me to keep staying positive, keep taking care of others, lending a helping hand, and at the same time just pressing forward towards the goals I set for myself. So, so I'm glad to have known her, and Dave and family, you're constantly in my thoughts and prayers, thinking about you every day and praying for you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Yehuda, did you want to speak?
Hi, first of all, I'm so sorry for her family and all of her friends. It's a huge loss. I had the unique pleasure of knowing Jen from when we were like 15, 16 years old, literally kids. And my first about her was this incredibly strong personality, incredibly strong person, and very authentic. I think Zvi touched on it earlier, or maybe Sim. There was not a fake bone in her body. She was really genuine as a person inside and out, and that came across to everyone she interacted with. We once did a trip down to Maryland, and I showed her my black belt video. I was black belt already at the time in martial arts, and I showed her my black belt video and was in the dojo, and she insisted on sparring me. Sorry, we lost the video feed for a second. Is the family still there?
I'm not sure. Let me check.
We have a quick change of the battery.
Oh, so I showed her my black belt video, and right away she's like, "I have to spar you." And I was like, "Jen, I know you like to fight a little bit, but I'm a different level." She insisted. She put on full gear in the dojo in front of everyone. She's like, "No, I'm going to show you what I could do." She went so hard against me, even without much training at the time. I don't think she had a lot of martial arts training back then. She might have been 15, 16 years old. But she went so hard against me. At one point, I was like, "Jen, you have to stop, or I'm going to hurt you. Like, you're going too hard right now." She didn't know how to go halfway. She was all or nothing. She was all or nothing type person. And I think that was a testament to how she lived her life. And, now we're all older. Many of us have children. Many of us even have daughters. Zvi and Sim, my best friends, were on this phone. We've been friends now for 20 plus years together as a group. The Muncie crew is what we called ourselves. And we all have daughters, thank God, at this point in lives. And when we think of Jennifer, and I think of my own daughter, I think about how she lived her own life. She wasn't a slave to society's norms. She didn't care what thought about her. She cared about her own truth, and she lived her own truth. And if we think about a blessing that could be left from her life's experience, it would be that we would want our own daughters to have that fortitude and strength, to be able to be the best that they can be for who they are, and not care about what everyone else wants them to be, but what they believe the authentic self is, and live it to the full. And I think that that's the greatest gift.
Back any minute.
I'm sorry?
How's your cold going?
I think that the greatest gift from her life's journey that we can hope for our own children. Sorry, I can't see the family. I assume you're still there, correct?
We're here.
Okay, lovely. So, I'm sorry we're celebrating her life in a bad time, opposed to a good time. But I know that you're all very religious, and there's a reason why in Hamakom Yenachem at the end we say B'sof Tzar Ad L'Tzion V'Yushalayim. It's because as Jewish people we celebrate together, we mourn together, and we rejoice together. And just like the story of Hillel, who walked the destruction of the Beit HaMikdash and understood there will be a rebuilding, we should understand there will be a rebuilding, and Jennifer will be there as well. So Hamakom Yenachem Etchem B'sof Shar Av L'Tzion V'Yushalayim. We should talk about Jen in the present and in good times.
Okay. I think we're going to cut it here, unless anyone else wanted to speak quickly before we end it. Okay. I want to thank everyone for coming again and supporting the family. And I know Jen loved each and every one of you so much, just as much as you loved her. And I'm sure she would appreciate all of this.
I just wanted to share one last thing. I'm sorry for interrupting. I'm sorry, I wasn't sure if you saw my hand up. Here, if I spoke about her last Shabbos, and I guess it's been many years, but I recall the memory when she came to my house for Shabbos. And my father is a Chabad, well, he passed away, but he was a Chabad chassid. A big, long, white beard, black hat, and kapata. Never missed a minute. He saw her 15th come for Shabbos. I don't know. They just connected instantly. And he gave her the biggest hug, which I had never seen my father ever do to anyone other than himself. He just gave her the biggest hug in the world. And she lit Friday night candles with my mother that Shabbos. And I came back from Shul with my father, and she had this like glowing face. The Shabbos experience was something that, you know, at that moment in that time, had a deep impact on her. And it was just an amazing week at Shabbos for her and for my family. And when I told my family the news of her untimely passing, my mother instantly remembered when they lit Friday night candles together. And I think it speaks to the Jewish spirit and soul that was within her. That was very genuine. Sorry for interrupting.
Please, thank you. Thank you so much. I think it's very clear that she left a massive void in all of us here, and I think we're going to need to rely on each other to get the strength to move forward. Thank you.
Dan, can I say one thing?
Sure.
I'm Jessica's mom.
Hi.
I have never met Jen or Jen's mom, dad, and David and Dan until virtually. I also met Jen virtually. I feel Jen is a very extraordinary person because she does everything with her heart. She cares about everyone that's in her life. No matter if she's doing the wrong way, the right way, or God's way, she did it with her heart, and that's why she impacted so many people. And I feel that Jen was going to come to New York to meet us. I feel that if Jen is here, she will want us to love one another. It doesn't matter what nationalities we are. We love one another because that's the way we should be, and just to share kindness. And I feel that Jen is very other people centered. She always makes everyone feel important. Even me, I have never met her. And that is why she's so special in my daughter's life. So I just want to thank everyone. And I want to give our deepest condolences to Jen's mom and Jen's father. She spoke so much of you too. And I feel the love that she lived out came from you and came from God. Because God will want us to be a peacemaker in the midst of strife. And our world needs more people like Jen. She may not have all the directions because she's so young, but she has love and she does everything with her heart. And she comforts everyone that's hurting, that come across her path. I think we just need to show more mercy to others, even when we are falsely accused. And I feel our life really need love. And for this very shocking, unexpected, horrible tragedy, is never too late to show love. Never be afraid to speak up. And that's what I have to say. And I'm so thankful that I'm here. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for being here.
Daniel, can I just say one thing, Daniel, before you break?
Of course.
Thank you. I know it's late there. This is Rob. I was Jen's boss, if you will. But as you know, Jen doesn't really understand what the concept of boss means. But I tried to be her boss. Not an easy thing. But I think someone said she was a force of nature. I would agree with that. But I said something at the funeral through my colleague Dove, and I'll be happy to speak more at the memorial in New York. But I just wanted to say one thing in case for some of the things that were said. I don't know anyone who had more impact on people that she didn't know than Jen, in the sense that I've known her since she walked into my office, investigative office in Great Neck 15 years ago, fresh out of college, for an interview, for an internship, and when she was wearing a headband. And I said, who would wear a headband to but she didn't care. She just came as she was. She probably was wearing a headband that day, and that's what she wanted. And she said her mom found this ad. She came walking in for the interview, and you could see how brilliant she was. We hired her, and she's been with us ever since. And the point I was making about the people that she impacted that she never met is that she worked on hundreds of cases in 15 years of, involving people who were defrauded, people who were wrongly accused of crimes, people who just had most terrible things happen to them, and she worked relentlessly, like it was her own family, to help people, and hundreds and hundreds of people, because I've gotten emails, text messages from people who have been impacted by her, from someone who is an indigent individual who we helped on something, to a guy who was wrongly accused of a crime who she helped exonerate, to people who were victimized in a Ponzi scheme that were able to get some money back thanks to her effort. So if there's any consolation in life that you get back when you give, she certainly gave her heart and soul to everything she did, as you all said. And she, as I said, helped hundreds and hundreds of people, some that she never will have met. And I think that's a very important legacy that she left. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Thanks so much, everyone. I think we're going to wrap this up, but I know a lot of us will remain in communication moving forward just to get the strength from each other, and I think that's definitely very important.
המקום ינחם אתכם בסוף שער באר ציון בירושלים.
המקום ינחם אתכם בסוף שער אברי ציון בירושלים.
He said it.